Hey, fun session, 5k alone on coin poker. Mostly I talk about what it takes to actually break into high stakes logistically in this day and age, whether you're in Europe or in the US, live or online. How do you get good enough to make a bunch of money at this game? And once you know how to make a bunch of money in this game, how do you actually get into good games to be applying that? How do you maximize your earn? So if you want to find the road to making over $100 an hour and then breaking into the high stakes games, I talk about some of the logistics of that, some of the misconceptions of that, and straight up lay out the goods. So let's dive in and see how I lost 10k in under an hour. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so I think I gotta show my hand. I take down a pot. How we going, chat? I beat a man on his own poker site. All for Australia. Half a bet on the flop. Wet board there. We were ahead. We were behind. We played it perfectly. Follow them. There we go. Really would prefer if my monitors didn't turn off on me. Oh boy. So the Omaha, from the very flop, it's coming for all of it. What do we think about Raf Darko? He's streaming. He's still waking up. I needed that extra 25 minutes. Okay, we gotta follow the action. We gotta wake up. Someone said this site seems so fake, but I don't know. It's a fair attitude for like every online site. I don't know what's going on with their with the crypto situation to get the rake back, but other than that, I mean, CoinPoker, it's been around a long time. It's just been low traffic. Every site you haven't heard of tends to seem fake. I don't know. Look into it. You should be skeptical of every single institution in the world, but especially online casinos, I would say. That's fair. I've had no issues with them. They've been in operation a long time. Like this in particular, right? Like this is an invite game, so I know the people in here like by their actual like real identity to an extent. Like the whalist is the wacko. You know, having said that, I don't know everyone at the table, but I know the game runners and that like peripherally. It's a little bit different. Howdy, Catley. Yeah, it is 2:08 a.m. No more knitting. No more knitting for me, we race. Tony comes along. Okay. Freaking bluff them with ace queen. What a fish game is fun. Now, do we just open everything? I mean, you genuinely can. I think with antes, you're not actually meant to fold. Not meant to fold small blind. What do we know, though? We're just fishing around. We're just fishing around. Yeah, the name of the game is still Wake Up. Open suited cards for the straddle. You gotta open suited cards for the straddle. That's one for Sydney. What was this hand? Not the one we just played. Question itself. Fold 3 bets. Fold C bet, check, 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 check. Straight to pair. I didn't bet the straight on the river, that's fair enough. Yep, pretty normal, pretty normal. Ground ourselves in the essential. We will wake up with the second coffee. Tony G's streaming? What are you all doing here?
Now I'm going to make a move. This is a pure move to get control of the betting. I'm going to make it 80. I'm going to make it $90. Now if it comes over the top and any flop, I'm going to bet.
Who is actually streaming this? I haven't checked. Didn't check the backlogs. Be a good idea though. That's a spicy one. Suited hand, but that's not the button. Queen suited shove's kind of interesting. You just see, like, yeah, that's 3.84 big blinds, right? And 12 big blinds, half pot check raise, pretty standard. And then you just like look at the size of it, the size of this. Oh yeah, just make it 2. Oh, he was bluffing. He freaking bluffed you. Now this is kind of wide. I do like this hand. It went well for us last time. My hand, my beautiful hand. Okay. Now the Wacko is pure GTO, by my understanding. Gut shot. Now we get to do some GTO theory talk. Let's go. The Wacko can't see bet range here, lest he's vulnerable to a check raise. And he doesn't. Now we get the 9. Now the Wacko knows about protecting his flop range. Or does he? Such relief to not just see aces there for a change. This man knows what he's doing. Oh. Ace jack. Now I would love to just open literally every hand on the button, but you can get a reputation for that sort of thing. Old flop min raise with the ace-7, huh? And now they know I open Jack 6. Like the show all game. Show all game is fun. But the pain of not knowing is also quite fun. But yeah, to be clear, this is a like passworded VIP Stream a game. Place a 3-bet. And we fold. Nice one. Sammy Jazzy Sammy Jazz. You got me. Happy Chowzor. Getting a hype mix. This is... Yo, Caution. Good morning and good night. Glad to have you here. Oh. It's fivers. It's a little rich for 2-5. Still have the not quite rich enough tag on this Morbid Aura guy. Oh. Whalist, that's just straight. It's 10 grand in the middle. That looks pretty good for the whacker. Good honest whacking. No way we were taking down the pot against Jack 9 suited. There's just no way. We go a hand of our very own. Call is interesting. Invites everyone to the table. Does Tony play nice? Tony gets out of the way. Okay, so Raf. Oh. We're going to be checking close to range out of position. We've still got overpair, stuff like that. Just ends up with standard bluffing hand. That whole hand's pretty damn standard. Of course, there's a lot to do with Queen 8. Like, you can check raise it. You can kind of bet at whatever size. But players can just have like Ace Jack offsuit, King Queen offsuit, King Jack, King 10, Queen 10. Just all these just random overcards to be cleaning up. Regulated areas are the dream, man. That's the place. You want a little island. Find a little island. Little island of restricted games. Private, semi-private, region locked. Until we get the great USA reopening. I think that's as good as it's gonna get. This great crypto nation of ours. Bluff. Okay. Yeah, I'm waking up. Feel it. I feel it. Sleep dissolving from my eyes. This is pretty sketchy. Omaha comes along and makes life easy once again. Build a tiny open. Kinda cool. Gives you some problems. Like your min raise, you'd be shocked at some of the hands that were meant to defend, especially on like the small blind when people are opening that small. Chowser bought a bunch of veg to roast later. Nice. Jack 10. So now, we'll see. Is that the size he opens, or is that the size you wanted to open with Jack 10 off? Okay, no, that's just his open size. Take it down, and they saw us do that with Jack, with Queen 10 off, so... Sharking it up. Nines, eh? Nines are a hand. Respect. Bad feeling. Had me crushed. Ooh, lost a limp. The little limpy, we get the little raisy, we get the call. Okay, I block the set, and there's 1k in the middle. Look at this, we would have the world. Okay, so what do we think Tony's limp call, check the flop, check the turn quickly range is here, guys? Little exercise. Now, it's pretty straightforward. I won't say it, obviously, I'd be giving too much away. But I think he has a showdown hand right now. No, I don't. He could have fours with a club. You see? Do you see these reads? Do you see these reads? Cards aren't safe on your own site, Tony. You don't have the heart.
You feel my power, baby? Feel my power. I think Tony G is speaking more like a Lithuanian than an Australian right now.
I don't even need to be in these bots. I know what's coming. Do I use color tags as well as notes? Yes, I do. I will not be discussing my color tags right now. But I like color representation. On sites where you can use HUDs, I love when you can just like color code the HUD and stuff. Just, you know, anything for quicker realization. Color for notes and stuff helps me a lot as well. Bitcoin boy, call. Very wet board. Yeah, it's a good question, Skluck. Just I don't want to talk too extensively about my reads or my plan against like the specific players right now with it being streamed, if you get what I mean. It's also a little hard to go into because I'm not like trying to have some ultra standardized note system that like makes sense to other people. But yeah, anything to just tag patterns that make sense. But especially in a game like I can know the actual in-person name. It's more about like profiling the individual player. But I might have like the same tag on a reg and a fish, if that makes sense. Same tag, different note. Some of my tags are Jokes. Particular in this lineup. Others are very serious, like my self tags. Okay, nice passive game. Oh no, give me my. Oh, we spun that wheel. We spun that wheel. Danger flop. Cool. What are games like at these stakes on this site? So I still don't think there's like, I don't know if there's daily 5k and L action running across multiple tables or whatever. But I've seen action at 100, 200 run, heads up games run. I think a bunch of these guys are in the mix at different stakes now and then, given action. I've seen sort of really consistent small stakes action, like if you wanted to grind 100 L, 200 L, and like the like decent amount of 500 L popping off. That seems to be going pretty much daily. And then higher stakes like 1k, 2k and L get off the ground now and then, and I haven't seen, I haven't noticed when I've checked the lobby higher than that running very often, but I have seen the occasional 100, 200 game run or then break. This one is a streamer VIP game. I'm not trying to conceal that. It's just, yeah, where are we? There we are. So we're just adjusting it. Oh, don't hack me. Don't look at my Bluetooth devices. Yeah. So if you can get into invite-only games, it goes pretty well. But how high stakes tends to work on all sites, with some exceptions. Like, when the best of the best choose to reg battle, like Linus and Davy Jones want to get something going, maybe they'll even leave when a fish joins. I heard Linus used to do that. But generally, high stakes games will run basically when an unknown player or a known losing player shows up, and then they'll run wherever that's happening. So a lot of what happens when a site is doing promotion like this is they're just looking to sort of get word out that this site exists as an option and attract especially VIP players who aren't necessarily the sharkiest, to want to play on there now and then that's how games get off. And so they'll come and go. So like Ben Affleck, for example, funded many players' careers on ACR for a really long time. I know a few people who have like had their come up just because Ben Affleck was in the mix. Ref Darko's a wild man. I'm really tempted to do this, but I just have to go with my gut. It's hard to know when gut is beer at stakes like this, when I'm still waking up all the time, but gut said danger. Raf 4-bet Sammy called, so who knows? Sammy wouldn't necessarily have called me, but Raf V-pipping. So we'll see some ace-queen, especially with a heart from Darko. Ace-jack if he wants to bluff that. But otherwise, I'm just expecting a ton of ace-king and just aces to run it. I guess he could also just shove jacks with a heart or something if he wants to be mergy. Sam can have king x, random jacks. It's just the aces. Follow your heart. Map hack. See through the game. Oh, you're gunning for you. Yeah, I was saying like regular high stakes action I haven't seen running that much, but like 1k, 2k and L pops off now and then, and 500 and below runs super consistently, like 100, 200 and L pretty consistently. Again, not 24/7, but games have been good from what I've seen. The GG games, I don't know if they're bot free exactly. Like high stakes like 1K&L on screen name sites can actually be safer than mid stakes just because the community self-polices. I don't know the state of like the overall economy. 1K is even thriving on apps and stuff, but the problem with things like that, the problem with app games, problem with any site really, but app games specifically, is the less regulated it is, the more you rely on basically word of mouth and trusting the people you're working with directly, and there's so many people along that chain. Do you trust the app operators? Do you trust your like agent or bookie? So many times you can just not get paid. And there's a lot of people in poker who you can trust up until the point where they get desperate, right? So you can trust someone when things are going well, but maybe someone who's running that juicy private game, you know, maybe they've got a gambling problem, lose a bunch of money, one of the big whales doesn't pay, are you getting paid? So those are things you just got to look into. I don't know what the future of oh man, he's so spice. So spice. Who owns the lobby on Coin then? I haven't seen anyone putting up that much of a fight for it. I'm trying to think. There's definitely some people owning the lobby at Nosebleeds. I have not been, just trying to like open sick guys there. Who's owning the lobby right now? We can have a look. Who's open sitting one? Bunny 12. I've seen Bunny 12 around. He's open sitting 100, 200. Oh, that's what's one of Charlie's games. Nuno Alvarez, open sitting 25.50. So there you go, guys. There's games. Just sit the man. Make action happen. Make action great again. So like this is the thing where I'm not hard shelling coin poker, though I do have a code EQ Poker on sign up, and check the description on my latest video or whatever. I'm not sponsored by coin poker. They give me the seat in this game. I have an affiliate code. If you want to check it out, check it out. I get some of your rake back. I've got questions about how it works too that I'm not privy to. I don't know what the deal with this chip crypto is. Obviously, it's in the financial interests of the operators to set it up. You got to do your own investigation there, and you got to take on the risk of holding that asset for the rake back. But if you do that, and that's optional to play on the site, I'm, for example, not holding it right now, just like look out for yourself. Be suspicious. Be suspicious. Ask these questions. Like, I really encourage it. Go for timing tell there, because I'm talking about it. And I would extend that same advice to every single company that is out there. Like, straight up. So, I'm choosing to play here. I at least trust the integrity of this game. I've had good feelings about the other games that are running that I'm playing. Are people maybe cheating? Are there maybe bots? You can't avoid that on any site. I haven't seen evidence of bots or cheating or collusion on Coin Poker. It seems safer than other sites to me. And that could simply be because the bots haven't bothered yet. I don't know the security and the back end, you know? So that would probably be my answer to most stuff. So you got to check it out if you want to. It's really easy to deposit and withdraw. No issues with that. You just got any crypto thing, you can do it. And there's minimal, I'm not saying no fees, but very limited fees. So if you want to log into a site and dabble and explore, that's how you maybe find some of these opportunities, you know? Small bet on the flop is kind of weird on these boards. Could still have threes. I think you can have a lot of like eights. Fives would be the sort of hand that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, also, he's very capable of just playing a value line this way. There's nothing ever stopping someone from just checking a strong enough hand to like raise river, but yeah. Yep, cool. So we lost less than if I had check raised the flop on that run out. That's nice. On your highly regulated sites, euros are VPNing into the networks. Yeah, they are. They are. If there's opportunity to make money, I mean, sometimes even if there's not, people are VPNing into every site. It's pretty well known, and the sites don't tend to worry too much about that. They're happy to have customers in. Some will ban known winners. What I've heard is, like, the States are still just good. Live poker is good, the States are good. Sites that other people are scared of tend to be good. Like, Ignition was really very different, but very good, because crypto deposits, relatively low rake, and you can get really absurd edges playing, like, exploitative poker. Coin poker is another one, where, like, when everyone else is going, this is kind of shady, and yet there's people putting a ton of money on with crypto and playing high stakes, and no one's heard about it. It could be a flash in the pan, it could not be worth your time, or it could be a pretty big opportunity to find some good games that other people aren't playing. I'm not saying that it definitively is, but this is how it tends to work, especially with small sites. I pulled like 30 or 40 grand off a website that no one had ever heard of, like, as like no traffic, nothing ran, but like once a day, 10-20 against a whale would just pop off. And so, like, once a day, pretty much every single day of the week, this whale would come on and lose like 6 grand to whoever was willing to sit him. And there you go, that added like a year's salary to my income when I was like rebuilding. That was just a site I could play in Australia. A lot of that is the reality of like finding some edges in like underground games. It's a shame, because what I would prefer, and what I assume almost everyone asking that question would like to hear, is, hey guys, PokerStar's back. You can grind your way all the way up to 500 Zoom with fish, and we'll just sit and we'll play 3,000 hands a day. We'll review all our hands, we'll put everything through the tracking software, and it'll be glorious. The thing is, the sites that are great to play and grind as a reg that way, like HUDs, Trackers, Easy Review, they get saturated because it's an interesting experience. Good regs tend to flock there. People who really love the game, or the deepest aspects of like high level strategy and like solver review, they flood these sites. And fish aren't necessarily as attracted to them, especially because they are popular. They don't need to do much to recruit it. That reg to fish ratio is just a really big deal. Whereas the riskier sites that make everyone uncomfortable, I'm not saying it's a good idea. You get to choose your own volatility, right? How actively are you going to, say, pursue something like an app game or the underground scene? I think I'll make a video or two on this because I think it's really, really interesting. It sort of just fascinates me. You won't really hear much from me trying to like shill one site over another unless I hear specifically like, hey guys, danger alert, like there's a bunch of bots on Ignition and people don't necessarily know about it. Does that mean you shouldn't play Ignition? Like, I don't know, that's up for you to decide with that information, because there are still players winning there, but I also know several winning players who I believe to be legit have been banned, and a lot of the bots haven't been, either due to this team being completely incompetent or whatever else. So they don't really... The poker room isn't even that big of a moneymaker for them compared to like the other casino stuff. Ignition, you know. Just allegedly rumors and hearsay. I don't really know anything that isn't on public forums and Discord rumor mills. Yeah, we're talking about Ontario, right? Like Ontario Gold Rush site, everyone knows about it. A lot of people move over there, they start playing. Higher stakes get saturated, run less often as the fish lose money or play a different site. More and more regs move there. So the games are still probably good, but gets distributed more over time. If you had to move somewhere, I mean, I don't know how the living conditions in Ontario, but the less attractive it is, or the harder it is to do, especially for regs to get there, the better you're going to do. I know a lot of really talented players, like technically great players who just don't have access to great games, especially Europeans. Like the best advice I can give most young Europeans grinding PokerStars is get your ass over to America somehow. If your goal is to make dollars an hour, get over to America and play like softer high stakes games, you know. But if you haven't yet like been crushing mid to high stakes, if you don't know, if you don't have that complete inner conviction that's going to be worth your time, the risk puts a ton of people off, obviously. We are opening Ace 4 of Hearts. It's a friend of mine. You're taking down the pot. Yeah, 200L seems to be one of these magic filters. Because 200L, you can make a good living but it's also like not too scary to. It's like the Magic online recreational stake. Okay. You're gonna 4-bet. We can't refuse a snap call. And we take it down with Ace King. $2,500 pot. Yeah, GG rake is crazy. Like, but for most people, like if you aren't the type of player who is going to spend probably hundreds of hours going real deep into the nitty-gritty, real precise review, cross-referencing your hands, your database with GTO and with pool exploits, and working with other players to like find edges on specific players or break the pool open, really just work on lines and stuff systematically. If you aren't going to put in that level of work to know what the meta is, know what the par is, oh, Batman J. Nandez Vigilante has joined the table, then you shouldn't assume that you're going to be beating these really tough, really high rake sites like GG. Most people should either be game selecting really, really hard, or using online, you know, especially like beyond 200 NL as a goal, just to like train up, again, for fishier games, to get really good enough for a live environment or whatever else. The bigger your bankroll, the more options you have, because you can always just pull select a great game. It's sort of it's a luxury to have, you know. But then there's the trade-off of the more you're just playing consistently and learning from that, the actual more technically skilled you're getting, you get different trade-offs at different point in your career. And so I always focus on skill up, play the higher stakes of a game like you know you're beating and like managing your risk, and the softer the game, obviously the smaller the role you need, but like by a crazy amount. Like if you're the best player in a game, if there's like half fish or like 4 or 5 fish in your live game, and you know how to exploit fish, you need less than 20 buy-ins. Like, and if you can handle it emotionally, like 10 to 15 buy-ins is big enough to take a shot at a lot of like, say, big, juicy live games. I say a lot. I mean like maybe 25 to 30% of like high stakes live games, you could probably hop in with like 10, 15 buy-ins. Breaking into the higher stakes, like actually having the liquidity, either having the funds yourself or having people invest in you, is one of the bigger things. But it's hard to know, like, until you get to fuck around and find out, do you have an edge in that game? You can know before you know. You just have to do a lot of work. You just have to do a lot of game planning. Yeah, live poker in North America in terms of poker skill and game access and everything, for sure. Like 100 an hour in live poker, the strategy you need is very straightforward. Like you could play I could write you a strategy sheet on this notepad covering a ton of spots. And if you just did that and like studied river and chatted with your mates and worked on everything to actually be like emotionally clear and consistent, make good decisions in the biggest pots, understand where people predictably make mistakes, like 100 an hour is very, very, very doable at 510. Yeah, then these trade-offs, it's crazy, right? Like 200 NL in Ontario, cost of living, pretty tricky. 50 NL cost of living in somewhere like Brazil, maybe not so tricky, but most Brazilian players aren't necessarily going to be able to get a roll together and afford to like pay the tutelage themselves. By the way, you see so many Brazilians joining CFPs because they need the starting money. Like, I think it's really interesting, like the sort of collective economy. So ideally, be rich. That's a good one. Like, you need to at least be able to like afford to fuck around and find out for a couple years. That's the biggest thing I had. We weren't super wealthy and I was stressed about money all the time, and like I was still living like just praying to like hit enough to pay rent. A roof and food and board were kept over my head for years while I just like struggled through poker. And that's pretty common. You see a lot of just like gifted people dropping out of like higher education or whatever to pursue poker. Like the old, like the Ike Haxtons of the world, just playing through college and then sort of getting a degree. And now you see more and more guys who could go into finance and have poker as a serious hobby or whatever, and alongside, or instead of a finance or a computer science degree, they get hardcore into studying really systematically. Those are the guys I would be betting on for online generally these days. Or they're just like really savvy business entrepreneur Sigma grind set style guys who know how to like get the right information and just go out there and apply it. Especially in the States, the more opportunities there are, the less technically savvy you need to be, and the more street smarts come in handy. And the less you have access to those really good games, or you just don't like that, the more you need to be really, really studied, really, really book smart. Now there are really direct paths to like getting really theoretically good and just like playing a lot. But the path for someone in like Austria is going to be really different from someone in Philadelphia and New York, in my opinion, with overlap. Probably want to cover all those bases, but... Making him an offer he can't refuse. Come on, Bitcoin boy. Okay, so I don't know this guy, but I think I have to call. So if an overpair checked and takes this line, that makes sense. If they have something like fives or sixes, that makes a lot of sense. But I'm gonna have to call. Nice. Nice line, man. I think Bodog is kind of likely to implode from what we've seen. Okay, Sam, let's dance. Okay. Oh, well. I mean, relocating as an Australian has always been the play if you like wanted to be making poker money. Like, you either move somewhere with a lower cost of living, and play the smaller state. Like, if you have nothing tying you down, and this is like not a small trade-off, right? There is a huge trade-off. I would say, like, if you're looking to move up the stakes, if you at all can, I would say probably do it without needing your income to come from poker until you are like at least crushing 200 an L, or like, you know, ideally beating that mid stakes level, because to me that's my personal threshold for success. Like, I want to be making more than like twice what I would be making in another industry if I'm looking at it like in that way. But I mean, I fell into poker. I did not follow this advice. Right, like I love poker. I'm obsessed with it. But you would move to Thailand or something, move somewhere with a low cost of living, and then do the online thing that way, somewhere where you have a lot of side access. Or you would do the America thing, or anywhere that there's really good live games. You might find really good live games somewhere in Australia, you know. But the best opportunities usually aren't advertised. And I think the live path is pretty brutal, especially starting in the live path if you don't love it, because it will just wear you down in that environment and you don't necessarily improve very quickly. If you're playing in a casino environment, you need to spend all of the more time like actually focusing on life outside of it, because those environments are designed to tear you down. Like, I would not move to Vegas with 10 grand and say, good luck, kid. It's like, get a community, have a plan, have your life figured out, ideally as much as you can in advance. But in terms of having poker success, you just need to be doing that generally better than other people. Again, people are better and worse at different things, but I think it's such a marathon. Like, it is such a marathon. So you need to like have some idea of what your edge is, have a very low chance of failure or a lot of resiliency to rebuild, and then focus on just applying that edge, right? So where you live and what games you play and everything, that's all like sort of macro decisions that go into that. Just play like silver and win, easy life. Exactly. Is the money sponsored by Charlie Carroll? No, I'm playing with my money. If I lose, I lose. I win, I win. No one's giving me the money to play with. Raf comes in. And as much as I would like to do some tilty play, this is where gamblers start losing. Again, like, he can be pretty out of line, but I can't just lose a big pot, feel bad, and then say he's out of line and then spaz off my money. For real though, right? Like that King 8 hand, for example, I could second guess the King 8 suited flush draw hand all day. Is that going to change whether or not I should be in the seat, or how I play the next hand? Will I learn anything through, like, analyzing it? I guess I'm talking basic EQ stuff, but, you know, just letting go of it, playing the next decision reasonably, not spewing in with ace-jack off, because why I'm saying this is I do have, like, a sensation of, like, damn, you know, I can feel the frustration of that pot moving through me or whatever. If I don't acknowledge that, it will start impacting my decisions. Even acknowledging it, it might, but if I'm unconscious of it or pushing it away, it certainly will. It'll come out later. What I found over time is, especially at high stakes, especially if you have a good game like this, right? Like, it's less about perfection and it's more about the big picture. It's more about applying the strategy well overall than, like, damn it, I opened a pip too tight, I opened a pip too wide. So these are the awkward spots. They could definitely have 9s, and they can have better ace-x. Like, they can have ace-king that they choose to flat. Ace-queen, higher suited ace-x. We don't necessarily range bet here, because we're going to have stuff like kings, queens. It's an interesting one. Jacks is in their range, but now we're picking up another draw, hoping for something like king, queen suited to just send. We don't really have a reason to raise. Yeah. Yeah, tough decision, because we just need to win 25% of the time. That's it. My delay's not long enough. I hope no hands have been going up there, but that's worth knowing. Okay.